Hello, I am Leigh Thomas, and this is prompt 2 for my master's portfolio. Reflective practice in teaching is thinking carefully about how you teach and finding ways to make it better. It's about teachers taking the time to look at what they do in the classroom, why they do it, and if it is actually helping students learn. Instead of just going through the motions, teachers who reflect try to understand what's happening and why. Reflection plays a huge role in my teaching. I am not only improving my skills, but I am also creating a better learning environment for my students. When I am thoughtful and intentional about my teaching, my students are more likely to be engaged and successful. Reflection helps me become a more mindful and effective educator. The way that I utilize teacher experts is to help me become a better teacher is through professional learning networks. These networks provide opportunities for our teachers to connect, share ideas, and learn from each other's experiences. Our teacher experts help lead certain workshops, facilitate discussions, and provide guidance to us who are looking to improve our teaching. They share resources such as articles, books, and websites that can help us stay up to date on the latest resources needed to teach our content effectively. I have been teaching for 17 years. I want to continue to find ways to help my students be academically successful and strive to be lifelong learners like me. My teaching journey is greatly influenced by what I already know and the experiences I have had with students. Prior knowledge is not just about knowing facts, it's about understanding how my students learn and what challenges they might face. For example, if I struggle with fractions in elementary school, which I did, I might be more patient and understanding when my students face the same hurdle. Also, my past experiences with my students, both good and bad, shape how I approach my teaching. As an undergraduate student, I developed a lesson plan that aimed to help students grasp the parts of a fraction and the meaning of a unit fraction, which can be very challenging because it represents parts of a whole, and understanding the relationships between these parts is crucial. The primary goal of my fraction lesson was to foster a visual understanding of a unit fraction and representation, moving beyond rote memorization of rules to a genuine comprehension of the concept. To achieve this, I incorporated a read aloud, various visual aids, and a hands on activity. After my instructions, students were asked to draw different representations of fractions, such as 1/2, 1/3, and 1/4 in their journals. This exercise provided insights into their thought processes and areas where they might be struggling. To enhance engagement, I utilized a fraction pizza activity as a hands on tool to allow students to visually represent and manipulate fractions while creating their own pizza. Students will be able to identify and represent fractions, halves, thirds, fourths, etc., using model pizza. Students will be able to compare and order fractions using this pizza. Students will be able to understand the concept of a whole and parts of a whole using pizza as a visual aid. A key concept that emerged during the lesson was the importance of equal sized pieces and fractions. By facilitating the sharing of thoughts and ideas, I reinforced this concept, ensuring a shared understanding among all students. Overall, the lesson went well, but I feel that the kids needed more practice partitioning fractions with different shapes, especially circles. Circles are very difficult for children to partition equally, but through the use of visual aids, pizza fraction activity, and student led discussions, I cultivated a learning environment where students could explore unit fractions more and develop a deeper and better understanding. And here is a video of my revised fraction lesson. In this fraction lesson, using visual models and real world examples with our fraction pizzas help my students grasp the concept of fractions as parts of a whole, making the abstract concept more concrete and engaging. In creating a culturally diverse and engaging fraction lesson, I had to think about understanding and respecting students' differences. Most of my students are SPED students, and I had to consider their backgrounds, learning styles, and needs. I was able to create a learning environment where everyone feels welcome and can succeed. This not only helped my students learn fractions, but also taught them important lessons about diversity and inclusion. To improve student engagement in future fraction lessons, I could try different approaches. One idea is to start with individual work where students think about the concepts on their own. Then they can move into group activities where they share their ideas and learn from each other. It would also be helpful for me to give students feedback and guidance as they work. By paying attention to how my students are engaging with the material and making adjustments as needed, I can create more effective and enjoyable fraction lessons. The only changes that I noticed in the revised lesson were that the students knew the fraction concepts better, and they were more in tune with what was necessary to provide better models to represent the fractions given. The students who struggled in the initial lesson were able to grasp the concept of how fractions are modeled. A common pitfall I noticed with my two students was the over reliance on the part whole representation, especially with circles, the pizza slices. While this model can be useful for initial understanding, it limits these two students' ability to conceptualize fractions as numbers with inherent values. For example, the students were asked to shade 3/4 of an 8 circles. They can incorrectly shaded only 3 circles, focusing on the 3 parts rather than calculating the quantity represented by 3/4 of 8, which is 6. To address this limitation, I presented the fractions in diverse contexts, such as a number line, to illustrate their position and value within the broader number system. And here is the evidence from my fraction lesson. We have the fraction anchor chart, the fraction journal entry, and the fraction activity, which is a fraction sort. And here is the student independent work, the math journal entries of the students, and the hands-on activity, which was the fraction pizzas. Reflecting on my graduate experience at UWG significantly enhanced my teaching abilities. By examining my own learning journey, I gained valuable insights into effective teaching strategies. I considered how different classes impacted my thinking and approach to education. My self assessment allowed me to identify what worked well for me as a student and how those experiences can inform my instructional methods. A crucial aspect of my reflection involves understanding how I learned best as a student. Many of my graduate courses helped me recognize my preferred learning style and how it helped me appreciate the diverse ways my students learn. Some students thrive visually, others auditorily, and some kinesthetically. By acknowledging these differences, I was able to create a more inclusive and effective learning environment that caters to various learning preferences. By emulating these positive attributes, I was able to cultivate a supportive and stimulating classroom environment. Furthermore, contemplate my personal beliefs about teaching. Ultimately, teaching extends beyond imparting facts. It involves nurturing students' personal growth. It is about instilling values, promoting responsible citizenship, and inspiring students to make a positive impact on the world.